Hey, hey you. Yeah. Are you ready for an adventure? Are you ready for quests and exploration and treasure and dragons? Well, grab your adventuring sword, because it's time for adventure. Just look at this cover art. What about this doesn't scream adventure? You got your dreary cavern, your dragon, your hot rocker chick with her battle axe who's already been adventuring so hard her pants are half ripped off. You got your portal to hell. You got your pile of rubies. You got some creeper in the background. And just for good measure, you got this magic lamp. This is pretty typical early 80s fantasy adventure artwork. And you'd find it on a lot of Dungeons and Dragons game sets and metal albums. And that's because it kicks ass. And some of the better pieces deserve to be in the Louvre along shittier works of art. I mean, look at this. Which one is obviously better? Adventure is a series of video games that began in 1978 with this one, Adventure Number 1, Adventureland. It was ported to popular home computer systems in the early 80s, like the Apple II, which we're seeing here, and the Commodore 64, which we'll see in a bit. So we wait for the Apple II's version of the load screen, answer a question, and words. And more words. Welcome to the world of text gaming, or interactive fiction, as the 1980s kids like to call it. This is what adventure gaming looked like at the dawn of video gaming history. This was an age where supercomputers were still needed to process anything in megabytes. And if you wanted to contain an entire adventuring realm on a 360 kilobyte floppy disk, this is how it had to be done. Think of it as the great-great-great-grandfather of Skyrim or Elden Ring. So I guess you can go ahead and put that adventuring sword down and put on the adventuring reading glasses. Yeah, this Apple II version is the visual equivalent of eating plain oatmeal, and the gameplay is actually way slower than this. I'm speeding it up for the video. But the Commodore 64 adds a little sugar to that plain oatmeal with a version that's in color. You don't have to read through Adventureland in black and white. You can do it in red, white, and blue. This is not only way prettier than the Apple II version, it's more patriotic. I played the black and white version for about an hour before even looking at this one. And even though it's still just a text game, this upgrade feels on par with the upgrade from the Nintendo to the Super Nintendo. This is stunningly beautiful by comparison, just like America. The game opens with you in a forest with no other info except the few clues given by some mysterious booming voice. The game describes your surroundings and you have to navigate the world by inputting commands. And already, hey, look, a dragon! The cover wasn't lying. Now I am on the shore of a lake and there's a no swimming sign. Don't tell me what to do sign. Of course, the commands that you can use are very limited, so half the game is just trying to figure out what the program knows and what it doesn't. I guess I'm not going swimming. But it is pretty straightforward. You explore the world, you solve puzzles, you pick up items, you little assholes. You perform actions, again all within the scope of the program, and ultimately you make your way to the end. And I'm dead? From chigger bites? I've barely started playing. No wonder the game starts by asking you if you want to load a saved game. But hey, even in death you get some choices. Look at that. And that was the wrong choice. This is how a lot of kids learned to read back then. Sure, people will say kids learn to read at school, but forget that bullshit propaganda. They learn by playing interactive fiction games like this or any other of the dozens of similar games that were available at the time. But wait, if the excitement for this game hasn't already melted your computer's processor with its hundreds of kilobytes of adventure, there's a graphical version as well. Whoa, look at that. Now you can actually see the forest. And you can see the dragon, which looks like a shitty hill that you would never know was a dragon. I'm going to have to say, my imagination was way better than what I'm getting here. This one doesn't describe anything for you by default. You have to hit enter to toggle the description on and off. You'll need that, otherwise you'll have no idea what's available. Hey, a hole! I haven't seen that before. What could go wrong if I check it out? And I'm dead again. And that's Adventureland. This is probably one I'll sit down and play through just for the hell of it, and maybe some of the others in the series as well. They look alright. They may seem a little drab by today's standards, but if you're really into exploring these prehistoric games, then you just have to learn to keep your expectations low. After all, traveling back to see the Aztec Empire firsthand would be cool as shit, but you wouldn't expect to order a pizza or watch Netflix. You'd have to settle for eating corn and watching the human sacrifices just like everyone else at the time. Happy adventuring!